Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Dracy, and I'm going to cover the Silver Surfer graphic novel, Marvel's first graphic novel, but not the first graphic novel. I think that belongs to Will Eisner, I'm not sure, or maybe some of the other books like by Matt Baker called Rhymes with Lust came out long before this. I could be wrong. Even Gil Kane had an argument about his name is Savage, but it was more like an illustrated prose book, in my opinion. So, anyway, I'm getting all that disclaimeritis out of the way. I'm going to be covering this. The way I came upon it was my older brother had a girlfriend who was just an angel. She was a real sweetheart, and she knew I liked comic books. I never seen this. A lot of the when Marvel started doing Fireside books, they did it with Origins of Marvel Comics in 1975. Then they did a sequel, Sons of Origins, and then went on and on and on. And each time, the attention or the book orders possibly diminished, and whatever contract that Marvel had with Fireside Books ended eventually. But among them, the other books were collections of reprints, and this was all new, as they say. That was a big word for Marvel in the mid 70s because there were so many reprints, and there were a lot of fill-in issues of single floppy issues, where you turn a page after looking at a new cover, and it'll say originally presented in, Fantastic Four number 99, and you'd be like, shit. And they did that with giant sized as well, and then they started doing annuals in 76, getting rid of the giant size, and then they plastered all new all over this stuff. So this was probably more important because everything else Fireside had done with Marvel was a reprint. So this is a Jack Kirby design and painted by Earl Norem, he did a lot of magazines for Marvel, and as well as novels. They had like novelizations of some comics that came out in the late 70s or so. And I was all over. Jessica did a fantastic job. There's not a version. There's a Kirby version in pencil form, but I don't have it handy. And it's great too. It's just, I don't know. This adds a little extra something, something. It also speaks well of Kirby's ability to do layouts for covers, and so no signatures, unfortunately. See, this is the other books that are actually, this is almost pretty much the end of the original Fireside. I keep wanting to say Fireside, like the Fireside Theater, but yeah, Marvel's Great Super Battles is probably the last one they did, and then Marvel did their own a few years later that wasn't that strong. And but here we go. I got this right before I went and spent a week or two with my grandparents on Lakeland, Florida. Lakeland was not built up like it is now. It was like farmland, and my grandparents were at a trailer park, but it wasn't. It had a nice piece of land. It was like you weren't looking at your neighbor next door, and it wasn't like a awning between you two. And they had an orange grove across the way, which is pretty cool. And so I took this down with me, and it's cool. It's cool. It's many ways. It is magnificent as it is frustrating. And sometimes I think it's as frustrating as it's magnificent. And you're like, Drew, what the hell are you talking about? Get rid of the psychopath. Talk like a person. Well, there's this preface where Lee actually admits that when Kirby drew the Silver Surfer into Fantastic Four, that Stan was stunned. And for me, I always thought it was interesting because to admit something in print several times that Stan's done that, it almost makes you think, why didn't Kirby? Kirby was not a litigious person, and he could have just said, hey, I created Silver Surfer. Stan's doing this book with John Buscema where, it's not at all who I planned him out to be. And I know I signed the pre-work for hire contracts. Back then, nobody had a contract. And it was just month by month. But a lot of best artists, they met their deadlines and they did great stuff. So it's just interesting though, because if Kirby wasn't pressed into legal problems in the early '80s when he couldn't get his original art back, most of which was stolen, this would have been a good argument to say, hey, I own the Silver Surfer, much like how DC retroactively gave Kirby the New Gods copyright, which was a very kind gesture. I was wondering about that, because a lot of other books too, there was an issue of Super Villain Team Up that had Submariner. It was like 34 years ago. Bill Everett created the Submariner, and it's just odd. And the same thing is Doctor Strange. In the bullpen bulletins, I guess whenever Stan would get nervous about something, he would say, "Oh, blame this guy," like he did famously with Wally Wood, who wanted to script Daredevil number 10. There was this blurb like, we know you might like it, we know you might not, but we guarantee it's different. And I'm like, that's why Wally Wood left. He's like, look, it's bad enough I'm not getting credit for writing, but you're shitting on me, sort of. I think it was just an insecurity. I'm not hardcore Kirby. I think the two, they just met at the right time. They really, both of them were still reeling from the Frederick Wortham hearings, which destroyed EC Comics, and unfortunately both DC and Marvel had a hand in that behind the scenes. Look it up. So I'm not trying to depress you about this book, but another thing, when Steve Ditko came up with Doctor Strange, basically Stan even said he says, well, we hope you like it. 'Twas all Steve's idea. And I'm like, wow, he just admitted it. He was the editor-in-chief back then. He wasn't even the publisher. And now he's a publisher, and he's saying that. And that's very interesting, because in a legal sense, I wouldn't have said anything. But I think at the time in the 60s that Kirby was great for Stan, and Stan was great for Kirby. They really melded together well on. Stan's purple prose ran off the tongue much easier than Kirby's prose later on, but it was just a difference. That's all it is. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's kind of, if you've read the one Stan Lee intro, you've read them all. It's 1978. What's interesting too is that 78 is the last year Kirby worked for Marvel. A year later, he worked for Ruby Spears, who happened to be putting out a Fantastic Four cartoon that Kirby laid out, and it was awful. They were trying to take Kirby layouts, which by this time, Kirby was his stuff was real blocky, and it wasn't fit for animation. So you'd have, he would do these long strips with the famous Kirby thing where you see this over here and it leads your eye to here. But they tried to do that in the cartoon. Not to mention, the cartoon had terrible voice acting, had terrible. It was just stilted. It was awful. I'm a big fan. I even saw one recently online. And I'm like, God, I remember how tedious it was, that show. It just was kind of, I don't know what it was. So let's get to the book, okay? What is interesting though, this came out the last year of Kirby's contract. And he had originally been contracted to write, edit, and pencil, self-edit basically, several books at a time. He had the same arrangement with DC when he left Marvel he left 1969, and stuff came out in DC in 1970. So you got Joe Sinnott on the inks for the first time, I think, since he came back to Marvel in 75, because Mike Royer and Bruce D. Berry were pretty much the sole anchors of Kirby stuff. And so it's a beautiful thing. John Costanza on the letters, and the colors, chef's kiss to Glennis Wein, who was Len Wein's wife, and I don't know if they still were or after. I don't matter. They both are great creators, separate and apart. I mean, yeah. Together or apart. That's the way it goes. So beautiful, beautiful image there. Right into the Kirby tech. So this goes back to when the Silver Surfer was the herald for Galactus. Many of the worlds he has beheld, gaseous worlds, liquid worlds, worlds of metal, worlds of glass, worlds built by races which have long since vanished. Such stars are not, as this are not for me. I see no trace of life. It will not appease the hunger of Galactus. Get extra to it. Then he comes across Earth, which is just like, it's a tasty marvel. I'm going to check it out. How like a paradise it seems. How much like my own beloved Zenlaw, which is lost to me forever. And then, and he basically talks about how he surrendered his freedom when he lived on Zenlaw to spare Zenlaw. Norrin decided to make a deal with Galactus. Hey, I'll be your herald. And he's like, well, I wasn't in the market for one, but, hey, okay, let's make a deal. And so what ended up happening is Kirby was around when that happened, and a couple times later, Silver Surfer would show up again. He'd show up in a solo backup, his first solo story in Fantastic Four, King Size 5, and then he appeared like twice. He went to like the microverse to kind of hide from Galactus, and he found it more freeing, even though it was smaller. If this is a grain of sand that's the size of a planet, then you have a lot more, and you're smaller, then you have a lot more time a lot more stuff to explore, not turning inward, not like a Maharishi thing, but more like physically, he felt freer. And this is before the microverse actually, no, it was called the microverse. So I know I'm detracting, but I love metal on I just love that, the chrome kind of feel, and the simple colors here. It's like, I've told you many times I've been prejudiced against modern coloring because I love stark black and white and then flat colors, or ones that could be merged through the 4-color process of the era for decades. And this is where Gladys really shines. It's like yellow, then it becomes a deep gold, then it becomes like a rust color, and that just that builds up that a little bit of tension. It's like he sees this woman, takes a shallow bow for a minute, and she's running away. And here's the other interesting thing too, is Kirby never intended any of this stuff. He wanted Silver Surfer to be a blank slate. He wanted him to be like an alien with no, who was basically impressionable and malleable in a sense. Everything was new to him, and everything was wonder, he had a sense of wonder, but it wasn't like a romantic sense. It was sort of like a robot learning how humans work, but it was a space creature, not a robot. And at this time, 78, Kirby had gone through the whole New Gods things. Spent 5 years at DC, and then he came back to Marvel for a few years exclusively, and so he had to kind of put his disappointment aside when it came to Shalabal, because there was no romance, there was no sacrifice. That was just something that Stan came up with Jarvis Sama. So and at the time I'm reading this, I don't have a lot of sense of history at the comics. I thought this is the way it was. What's interesting is Silver Surfer never has ears. I just thought that was interesting. And it was just like Kirby did it with Black Bolt a few times in the Fantastic Four comic. Do not leave me, Shalabal. And one of them, the Earthlings, have I so soon forgotten their fate? Have I forgotten what my coming will mean? He's up there, waiting to destroy them. And I am his instrument, his herald, his presager of death. So here comes Galactus, Big G. Oh, great design. I love that so much. Now, here's the deal. This is a standalone graphic novel, okay? And the whole conceit of it is, if someone picks this up and they've never picked up a Marvel comic before, then the Fantastic Four can't really be involved, because that's a whole different thing. That would be a Fantastic Four story. It just wouldn't. There's no way to marry the two, so you'd in this format to an unsuspecting public, because this is in the bookstores, not at some of the places like Ides down in downtown in Pittsburgh. I can't even say in my own hometown. They carried this too, but otherwise this wasn't on the newsstand. This was at the bookstores. So here comes Galactus, and I hated that the Fantastic Four weren't in it. In a way, I knew why, but it just, I don't know. It was such a big part of the story. And even though, for the most part, they were bystanders, that's what the amazing thing is, because Galactus said, would you worry about stepping on an anthill? Would you, about their feelings, So, good old crunchy Kirby crust, lovingly inked by Josette. And one of the people, here goes, here got that anthill thing. Do they themselves not tread upon anthills, trampling on those who crawl gently beneath? They wish the humble ant no harm, but care not if it lives or dies. We speak not of ants, we speak of humans. Oh, well, hey, look, mine's the power. And so, hey, if they must perish so Galactus may live, so be it. And, this is cruel. This is cruel. Here's the other thing, too. Alicia Masters of the Fantastic Four, she got him to relate to humans because he had been knocked out by the Thing, and he fell through the skylight of her studio apartment, and she talked to him about just human beings, how they're made, how as far as we're a thinking advanced society. So missing that, you don't know why the Silver Surfer, he sees people, but I'm sure he's seen a lot of just a whole lot of other bipeds and other races that also have structures, and communications and all kinds of stuff. So he's like, oh no, because once before did I not sacrifice all that my native world might live? Now I can do no less. Let the donor feel its sting. It's pretty wild. So beautiful stuff. This page just really kicks ass. This was the same imagery used in Fantastic Four number 50, I think, but it was drawn different. But that's how Jack he's redoing the origin, what we knew art, and new layouts too. This is all different, just very different. But this is cool. I mean, like whole city blocks are being destroyed in this battle between them. I mean, this is classic Kirby, like just mass destruction when he deals with super beings. But I mean, even further, so he gets a big blast. And he's charred. Oh man, when I first saw this, man, it was scary as hell. Galactus has scored a direct hit. That's kind of funny as someone would write that. It makes it sound like, I don't know, like a football game or something. And look at the black path that follows behind the surfer. God, that's so scary looking. And he's trying not to die. And he's summoning his power. And here's the other thing, too. It's like Galactus gave him this power. He could have just zapped him and left him naked. That's it. Love the drop off here. That's where the lines stop and it goes out into another image. Really, really cool stuff. I disavow Galactus. The surfer stands with Earth. Man, I love that. And this is probably the best page of the whole book. He gets zapped, falls. Not only does his body constantly twist and his board gets a little separated from him because he's not glued to the thing, but it's not even like the same buildings. He's just kind of tossing over this huge metropolis, and it all looks so, it's just amazing. It's like one of the most genius moments of late Kirby comics career. And when he lands, it's with a big old cosmic Kirby crackle explosion, one of the bests. And hold on. But what I really liked is in the aftermath, it says, most of all, the particles touch the people. They fall on each and every human within sight or sound of the incredible events that ensued. Nothing is spared. Cameras, tape recorders, any or all devices for recording information are touched by the silent, shimmering particles. Records, films, even hastily scrawled notes on memo pads are obliterated, along with every shred of human memory of one of the most amazing events ever witnessed by man. Badass. Genius. It's genius stuff. And what's interesting, too, is going back to the beginning with Stan, he said this was kind of like the old days, and I'm talking like the early days of Marvel, where Stan would give Jack, an overview of what he wants to do, and then let Jack loose. And as time went on, Jack was doing more and more of the plotting. And it was a double-edged sword. It's like he got to draw whatever he wants, but then he didn't get co-writing credit. But as an olive branch, Stan had in the credits a Lee Kirby presentation. He's got a billboard. That's my crazy dog barking. If you'll excuse me, that was my puppies barking. And they're sweet little rescue dogs. Both poodle mixes. One is a Maltipoo and the other one is a Shih Tzu Poo. So make fun of that name as you will. And now, Silver Surfer's assumed the face of the guy on the billboard. Oh man. Actually, there's a lot of pages I would love to have. I am the then, I am the now, I am the yet to be. He goes, but here's the thing out there. I think this is where Stan kind of pins himself in the writing. But where is he who roams the skyways? Where is he who shall find me new worlds? Where is he who was my herald? The Silver Surfer soars no more. I am him who is Galactus. My every whim is living law throughout the thousand worlds. I shall regain my fallen herald. I shall choose the time. I shall choose the place, and then I shall choose the stratagem. Blah 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 blah. For him, I'm not Galactus. And the thing is, he's like, where is he? It's like planet Earth is pretty small compared to you. It's like it really, since you're both connected with the power cosmic that you gave him, why would it be so hard to find him on Earth? I mean, he's not leaving Earth. So Silver Surfer's sort of, recreating items that regular humans need so he can walk among them. And, the scenes like that, it's like Senate really steals the show. Hang on. I mean, that's just really great stuff. So he's about to get mugged. And, he's like, time to shed my mortal guise. I'm tired. You shitheads, you ruined everything. No, he doesn't say that, but he's like, I've given them mercy they would not have granted me. But why do humans so blindly, so savagely turn against each other? It's very much, go back to one of my previous episodes of why did the first Silver Surfer series fail? And it's because there was a lot of this going on, a lot of just flying around. So meanwhile, another planet's getting burnt up. Man, Kirby's really kicking ass on this. And there goes another planet. And he's on an all-planet diet. Long have I hungered, but now my appetite is sated. Goes, oh, like all who must eat, Galactus must survive. Oh, he's like sleepy. He eat too much stuff, he gets sleepy. So, such imagery. Well, thus do I summon my master of guile, who has never appeared in any comic before, and I think this is his only appearance. Maybe in the ongoing series in the 80s and 90s he showed up, but he's basically like Desaad to Galactus's dark side. He's just this nasty little guy, master of guile. So a little bit of a Loki thing going. How shall I serve you, my lord? And he's like, I'm bereft of my herald. I would have him return. Surely you jest, lord. You have only to summon as you did me. No, he has renounced his master. He stands with the planet Earth. Then destroy the planet entire, and with it the sever. Him who denies you can expect no less. Nice Dutch angle there. But surely I tell you nothing you can't not know yourself. Speak nonetheless. Only by hearing the evil, the mercilessness within me can I know it is what it is. 'Tis not vengeance I seek, I but claim my rightful due. It's kind of funny. He's like, tell me how evil I am. A bit of bad boy, Abbot. Mouth me our plan, worthy of Galactus. If you know how to slay him, he must be tricked. Set the lamp. You must summon forth a female. Enough. Have I displeased you? No, the plan is merit. The solution is true. Just like, it's so weird for Galactus to have that kind of emotion. Like, he creates this crazy character, gives him a good idea, throws him. 'Tis I am who hath the seat of power. Why must I ever prove? Why then can I not forgive? No more shall my conscience plague me. Galactus is gonna start something now. Oh, here we go. Though the game be loathsome to my sight, though the plan is vile, conceived by shame, Galactus shall not be denied. It seems a lot of work. It's kind of it's just odd. So beautiful Kirby backgrounds. And I love like the broken lines that Senate does to imply the bricks from a distance. And here she is. I am Ardina. We have been decreed by destiny. When it says is real, your beauty beyond measure. Is not Galactus himself not but a flicker of the light show of life? Each of us must play of the role we have been given. None of us can truly escape our fate. Look, I'll show you my emotions, pleasures of the heart. Great layout. I love the pinwheel layout. Pinwheel. I didn't enunciate that properly. So they're like, yeah. So, I mean, look at that. Some downright, horseplay. Friendly horseplay. I love that. Galactus, my suspicions are true. It is he you serve. Why, I throw all the wedding dishes out the window. So she argues, like, what do you know of mankind? What do you know of its rights to survive? You will perish at a worthless cause. I blow it at you. Whoa, what's this? So he shows just how ugly things can be on Earth. Oh, man, look at all the framing of that. It's really cool. It's a great idea for like Kirby did there. It's like, enough true, but, they are tempestuous and violent, swift, and to anger and slow to reason, but still they have spirit, they have courage, they strive to aspire and dare to reach the stars. It's like, even if your words are true, what manner of being are you that you would sacrifice yourself to an alien race for those who would destroy you without a qualm? I am a Silver Surfer. It's not like that. So he goes away, but she turns into light, and she's like a groupie. She snugs him. Hey, you ain't going no place. Man, that's beautiful. Oh, Kirby Tech. That is friggin' amazing, too. Okay, everybody. Drink in the Kirby Tech. And you know what? He does it in such a way that it looks like it works. That's the genius of Kirby. So this other guy's like, hey, you hesitate, Lord. Do we both not know that you merely destroy that displeases you, just as you shall do the earth? Love this panel. Galactus is doing an eye roll. It's like, and yet though virtual omniscience is mine, there's one I can't subdue. I can slay him but a thought, but you know how it goes. I cannot bend him to my will. Let's have her. And then show him that mercy. Kill him, and all as Galactus can. Now he's petitioning to be the the next herald. Slay the surfer. Put it into blah, blah, blah. I only live to obey. Then live no more, you sniveling sycophant. Or sycophant? I'm galacticide power and strangers from motion, untouched by mortal passion. Well, you know, half this book says otherwise, Big G. So, and the plot is kind of weird because he loves and hates the surfer, but which is okay in a certain, when you do a certain pacing, but this goes back and forth a lot. There's a lot of contradictions, and I know people change over time, but this is like in one book. This isn't very much time passing. Surfer comes by. A guy in his neighborhood grabs a handgun out of his glove box, and they're like, "Hey, something's going on." But this guy's like saying, you know, because you two are just rowdy, you know. Be careful here. Shooting stray puppies or kittens while you're saving the world. And I'll shove those pea shooters. Sam, what's wrong? What is it? And his wife shows up. He goes, I'm not sure. I think I saw two figures bathed in some sort of gleaming silver light. They were just in our backyard. Come on, I'll show you. And we know it's coming, but it's such a build-up. You don't see the surfer in this page. It's too bad this couldn't have been like a flip, but you know it's gonna happen anyway. But it's like they're really great staging, and he's like, "Hey, here I am with Ardina." So they discuss several things. Still, I don't know what you're selling, but how about coming in for a beer? I have no thirst, but I accept your hospitality. Like, you don't see how hopeless it is. Even those who would save you must think you mad. Nothing is hopeless as life endures. Nice water or something you call those things. Really nice furniture. And the walls feel like they're closing in on him. He's like, there's no room to soar. So he kind of freaks out. He gets really claustrophobic. Nice touch. Really nice touch. So meanwhile, she is showing that she's kind of overdoing it. She's really overselling it. Like, this is but the smallest part of the yawning cosmos that is home to the silvery skies rider. And, man, check out that ink. Check out the Glennis Ween colors. That's so daring. And, oh, man, it's like she's totally tripping him out. And kind of, I guess that's sort of what she's made out of. Like cosmic, I don't know. Give me a second. It's like such a great image. It just shows how inhuman she is. And you will scoff no longer. It's over now, honey. So our surfer's getting over his claustrophobia. And, wait. That's where you belong. Cresting currents of space with Galactus. Never, though every fiber of my being yearns for the freedom of the cosmos. Never. It would mean if it meant the end of the earth. So there's still a little not sure about him, which is kind of weird because, look, I think it's gone far enough. I don't know what your game is, but Ardina kind of really showed him, the whole cosmic. I don't know. She kind of gave him an acid trip. I love that pose. Now Kirby's not. I'll be honest, Kirby's not known for drawing beautiful women, and that's not his fault. He's just kind of tells the story, gets right away. It's like, not always men are handsome, so, but stuff like that, he really, that when it needs to be a payoff, he can really do that kind of stuff well. So, the barrier. Have you forgotten the barrier? Man, look at that. That's savageness. Oh, man, that's great. Meanwhile, boop boop. Ardina, have you whipped them into shape? And she's like, no, I'm in love. And she's like, oh, jeez, why'd you have to be so cool, surfer? I was just serving Galactus. Oh, man. Oh, takes her apart. Beautiful, beautiful. None may tamper with the emotion men call love. Because thus to Earth do I return you for a fateful final time. Army's there. This is another recurring thing. Kirby did this with quite a few books. I think like Machine Man and Captain America threats and such, where he would call in the army. It just because it made sense. It's like you can't have this stuff in a vacuum without somebody calling the feds or whatever. It's off. He tries to go all over the world, everywhere it's the same. He's there, and it looks like Doctor Doom's Latveria, but it's not. And these other people start, begone thou scion of Satan. And it's a prophet. Turn away lest you be cursed. That's the greatest right there. It's like even those who now built icons in his image greeted him at first with fear, spirit arrow with hate and fear. He passed amongst them now, and so a legend is born. And he goes some other place, gets bonked in the noggin, frees himself in no time. So, look, you rat bastards. So he had something from far across the sea. I sense a throbbing sonic impulse emanating from the isle below. Seems to vibrate as if alive on his own, but who could have placed it here? For what hidden purpose? And all too soon, the fateful purpose is revealed as a massive, sudden surge of negative energy assails the trapped and startled victim. That is such a great transition from that to a flat surface to that, and it's not even his incredible board can carry it away. What's the point with all? Will the current kill him? I don't know, but he must have fallen to enemy hands. But that's murder. But he vanished, streaked off behind. It didn't take him out. And Ardina's like, see, I told you. I told you. You won't listen. But I love you. At least we'll die together. Lifeless was I once, so shall I be again. At least at this moment. Then you would defy Galactus? For you, my love, the world. All the questions, why is sacrifice for them, for those of so little worth? See, here's the kind of thing where we got it. It gets a little, it's a lot of redundancies in the script. So they're like, oh, love, and then here comes, well, baby, The Matrix. Not to be confused with the 1998 movie. This came out in 1978. But that was the thing that brought her to life. Get on the board. We must fly to safety. There is no safety if Galactus so decrees. I can hold on no longer. No, you're mine. That's very cinematic. That's like storyboards for a movie. And she fades. Hi, Dana. Lettering by John Costanza, classic letterer and cartoonist. So it is done. Blah 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 blah. Just can't stop talking to himself. This is such a weird tangent. It's like he's holding the horns on his helmet. But I mean, it's cool. It's just that we get it. The pacing is just wonky here. Here's where it kind of gets. It just ends. Well, it doesn't end awkwardly. It just kind of. The pacing in some of it is just different. Maybe because it's a graphic novel. Maybe it's one of the earliest ones, and they were still sorting out the format, like do like 3 acts, that kind of stuff. But it doesn't really happen. And hear me, Harold. The barrier is no more. Your exile is now ended. You soar. All space is yours to roam at will. And Sir Galactus once again. Why you sit silent? What are the use of words? Ardina is no more. Blah 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 blah. If in life I cannot have a Faradino, then let us die united together. You would think to sacrifice 3 billion lives. Yes, join me, and I shall spare mankind. Join me, and I turn away from Earth. For you shall find me other worlds. Never, never I'll serve you again. Then Earth dies. Whoa, stop the presses. You are beyond good, beyond evil. You are Galactus. You are long to yourself, but you cannot take 3 billion lives. A word for you will save them. You know not what you ask. You have taken me from she who I did cherish most. Although it's kind of the second time, because remember Shalabal? Well, so did he. He forgot. And now you see the strip me of the ultimate escape. Death alone can join me with Ardina once again. La 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 la. Yada yada yada. Beautiful Kirby spacescape. The choice is yours. Deliver, serve me. Galactus spares the planet Earth. He goes, never has man so lost his loved one. In life you took Ardina from me, and now in death you seek to do the same. Then you accept? There was never a choice. So it goes into like the old saw of, the book ends the way it starts. And I guess for something like this, an untested graphic novel, Stan had never done a graphic novel. Kirby tried to do it in separate segments in different books that would tie together. It's just a very awkward read. I know they needed to get a decent page count on this because there's just a lot of padding. But again, it's beautiful padding, but I just remember reading this, and then not only that, but at the time, up until this very book, Marvel continuity was like tight. It was like tight as a wire, and they have this standalone book that doesn't have the Fantastic Four, that doesn't have a lot of other things that basically involved him. There was no Psycho Man. There was no no Alicia. Alicia is the one who opened his eyes to the potential of humanity and why they should be spared. But with that missing, it really comes off as, I don't know what it comes off as. It just comes off as kind of a cheat. I'll be honest. It was a bit of a cheat. It's still cool. It's still very cool. But it just like, when I finished, I was so unsatisfied. But I reread it because the art was cool and there was a lot of stuff going on. And you'll notice there's not a lot of action, but it doesn't really call for that. This is sort of a book that's above that sort of thing. And here we get some quote. And now back to the real world. There's Stan. There's Smiling Stan. He gives his background. And then we get Kirby. And his coolest suit. I love that picture of him. Then we get the other players. We get Joe Sinnott, one of the best comic book inkers ever in comic books, and John Costanza, letterer. I had the fortune early on in my career working. I had John Costanza letter a couple of books, like it was Green Arrow with the Connor Hawke era and stuff like that. And I had a page or two, and there weren't pages that you could really sell. They were just like talking head pages, but I loved them because I loved the lettering. This is calligraphy. We're not talking computer lettering. And there's Glynis Wein. And she was doing stuff, I mean, before the computer coloring age, she was doing stuff like Dale Keown's Hulk with Peter David, which really looked great. And what I liked about it is she was using flat colors because Dale did all the shading he did all the shading, and she just added the flat colors or the transient colors. But it's like she didn't have to overshadow Dale Keown because his stuff was every line mattered. It was super tight. And she didn't feel like she had to do any flares. People always talk about J.J. Abrams and his flare effect. Well, that happens a lot these days, says the middle-aged guy who loves ink, Mrs. Ink. Stan, Jack, John, Glynis. So that's it. It's really cool, but it is frustrating because there should have been another act in there to maybe extend this, rather than page after page of Galactus ruminating and contradicting himself countless times. And it's also kind of weird how he was going to destroy the world, but then Surfer betrays him, and he's like, okay, well, you stay here, You like it so much here? You stay here, pal, and I'll go and talk to my Desaad, my big mouth Loki type guy, and eventually destroy him, because why not? See, that's a dark side thing, and that's something I bet you Kirby put in there. I can't imagine Stan thinking of that, but for whatever reason, I mean that as a snide remark. But he's like, oh, you like it here? You stay here then. I'll spray you. And then he comes back later and goes, look, you come with me or I'm going to destroy the earth. So Galactus kind of got ripped off. He kind of got played as a sucker. See, that's the thing. It's like the reasoning behind it was just so we could get back to page 1. And that's what bothers me. It's a beautiful book, but it's extremely flawed at the same time. And the other thing with Silver Surfer was he didn't have his own series. He only got 18 issues before it got canceled. And Stan had this edict that nobody else will write the Silver Surfer except him. So this is 1978. We saw him guest star for a few early issues of the Defenders. For like 6 months, he was in the Defenders Avengers War, which is circa 1973. But aside from that, going back to 1970, nobody else had written the Silver Surfer. Certainly not a solo story. And then 1982, John Byrne plotted and drew a one-shot that Stan Lee scripted. It was written by Tom Palmer. It was cool, but I thought it sucked. Beautiful art, but it was the same thing. He's like, oh, I didn't get free of the barrier. And then at the very end, he finds out, I can't get free of the barrier. And it's like, yes, we've read that like in 18 issues in a row back in the late 60s. And it wasn't until 1987 that Steve Englehart finally got the nod, because Stan had been out in Hollywood for 15 years. Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers brought back Silver Surfer as a monthly series, which was just stunning. And it lasted almost 150 issues, which I find really amazing. But that was also because in the late 80s and the mid 90s, everything was selling, and after the big 90s boom burst or busted, it still lasted for a while longer because they kind of changed the quality. They had J.M. DeMatteis and Ron Garney, who was doing a combination of John Buscema and Mobius and his own style, which is beautiful. I really recommend that. It's an epic collection. So, when I was reading this down in Florida, and it's like part of me is like, oh, where's the other superheroes? Where's the Avengers pointing up and saying, hey, where's Ben Grimm, like punching the ankle of Galactus pointlessly? So, but you know what? It's aged pretty well. It's just that the scripting the pacing's a bit off. The pacing is a bit off because, like I said, Stan and Jack were not used to this kind of format with like unlimited pages. Although, being the professionals they were, they knew they had to limit the pages. So, I don't know. Let me share your thoughts with me. Do you have this? Did you ever hear of it before? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Please, there's plenty to be said about this. Being the original Marvel graphic novel, and then the second one was actually Captain Marvel, The Death of Captain Marvel. That was actually the second one, but that was the first one in Marvel's graphic novel magazine size format. I think I've said it. There's all has to be said. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, my long-windedness on this, and please check if you're still subscribed and if you're still getting notifications, because YouTube's algorithms are screwing a lot of people. I mean, there's channels I watch that have much more, a much bigger subscription base, and they tell the audience that they find out they're not getting all notifications either. So please check if you're subscribed and if you get all the notifications. And please like and share. If you have a fellow comics fan or former comics fan that wants to, relive this sort of stuff, just grab them by the shoulders and say, come on, get on this. So wishing you the very best. And it's almost my bedtime. Talk to you later.